Greetings, peer listeners. This is Bashir again, welcoming you to the podcast series Peer Talk Hiring an Infosec Professional in 2020. This podcast is focused around the best possible ways in hiring and retaining an Infosec professional. I hope you are all doing well in these trying times, and let us all hope this COVID-19 pandemic ends soon. Today, our guest is Gary Hayslip. He has over 25 years of information technology, security leadership, and risk management experience. He has held multiple CISO, CIO, and other executive roles. Hi, Gary. Welcome to Peer Talk Hiring an Infosec Professional in 2020.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure having you on the podcast, Gary. Thank you very much for your participation. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Like I said, my name is Gary Hayslip. I'm currently I'm the CISO for SoftBank Investment Advisors, the Vision Fund. I've been in cybersecurity and CISO roles for about the last 15 years, and then before that, I was at a list of various technology roles. So I've been in technology for quite a while, and a lot of different types of positions and different business verticals. And I very active in the community. I've written several books and write tons of articles, and I mentor and work with new people coming into the community.
That's awesome. That's a hell lot of a great experience, Gary. Now let us come to the topic people are waiting for. Gary, everyone knows that, now we are all going through tough times, right? How does this COVID-19 pandemic affect hiring in general in 2020?
It's actually kind of interesting because I've actually been talking with several other CISOs and what they're seeing, and unfortunately in our community right now and in industry, we're seeing a lot of companies who are laying off 5%, 10% of their staff. Even companies that don't really need to lay off people, because they're actually still in business and doing well during COVID. But we see a lot of companies kind of laying off staff and kind of getting lean, I guess hoping that, within the next, 6 to 18 months, when we come on the other side of this pandemic, that, they'll be ready to, kind of come out of the gate and go fast. Unfortunately, what it means is you've got a lot of people that, who thought they had a job that are all of a sudden now without a job in the middle of, of the pandemic. And it makes it harder, to go job hunting, because a lot of the traditional things that you would typically fall back on, contacting your network, meeting people for lunch. Now you're very limited to, doing video calls and kind of calling people, on LinkedIn, emailing people. So it does make it a lot harder.
Right. It's really sad that people who are doing well also, they are also laying off a lot of people. It's very sad. It's a known fact that there is a huge talent gap when it comes to getting good InfoSec professionals. How best can this gap be reduced, Gary?
Well, I can tell you right now, with these layoffs that we're seeing, we're even seeing, I'm even hearing of CISOs being let go. I'm hearing of, security teams being trimmed and security people being let go, which normally doesn't happen. So you've got that happening, and at the same time, you still have companies that are under attack. You still have companies that need to function as a business, and they need to. But unfortunately, what I see a lot of them doing is they're trying to survive as a business right now. There's major disruption in their supply chains. There's major disruption in what consumers they have, and and unfortunately, most of the bigger cost companies have are people. And so they're letting them go, And so, you've got this talent gap, which we already know that we have, in the information security community. And
Right.
for those CISOs that are able to hire, they actually have more candidates available. They actually have
Right.
more people available. And what I'm seeing is those that are able to hire, not only is there more people available for them to be able to screen and look at, we're starting to see companies actually being more open to remote work, being more open to people working from home,
True.
which I actually think it's about time, because I think it actually opens up the doors for for CISOs to be able to be really creative in the teams that they put together and really be able to get some good talent, you know, um, and it's like, and so I think in some ways right now with what's going on, for those people that are hiring, they're going to have a lot more talent, a lot more people to be able to pick from, and I think they're going to be able to be, a lot more creative in how they put their teams together, and I'm hoping that businesses will continue to
Yeah.
allow us to be able to have hybrid teams. People that are on-prem, people that are working from home, people that rotate, and maybe they work some days and at the work and some days at home, and I'm really hoping that businesses allow us to be creative. This allows
Yes.
us to be able to hire people, and we're not stuck with, no, you can only do one thing. You got to fit them in this box. They have to be able to come in and they got to sit in a desk. That
Right.
whole model has been thrown out the window with social distancing and everything else. you know um, so in a lot of ways, I think we're going to be able to kind of attack this gap, um, with some of the creative ways that we're going to be able to build teams. With that said, there's going to be a lot of talent available as companies are transitioning and figuring out what their new normal is going to be. What I would say, those people that are getting laid off, if you've got time, take a look at your
Yeah.
skill set. Take a look
Great.
at your skill set. Take a look at what what you're doing, what you have available.
Yes.
Looking at your resume, and spend some of this time to better prepare yourself. Because honestly,
Right.
security stacks are changing, right now because of what's happening. A lot of my approaches, I've had to totally rewrite a ton of my policies and stuff like that, because I got almost 800 employees working remote now. We're fully 100% cloud. That's a very different security stack than one if you are on-prem. So
Right.
things shift. Skills that you're looking for shift. Soft skills for your teams shift. You really have to be able to work well together and not piss each other off when you're working remote. You got to be able to
Right.
collaborate and give each other room to be able to work together. So it does. The talent gap piece, I think, is we're still going to be attacking it after COVID. I'm just hoping that I've actually got some more tools so I can get
Right.
more creative and do something.
Yes. Yes. I think people who have been laid off will have a time to re-evaluate themselves and build whatever they don't have, the skill sets. They can acquire the skill sets which they don't have. And Gary, do certifications and a degree play an important role? What should be included in a job description like?
Um, well, I can tell you, like right now, I'm talking with HR and I'm talking with, executives and other companies that are searching, for their first CISO or searching to build out their security teams. And one of the things I'm talking to them from a security skill sets piece is I'm telling them, look, you are moving a lot of stuff into the cloud. You are doing a lot more remote work. You're doing a lot more, working with VMware and a lot of virtualized infrastructure.
Right.
So obviously, you're going to have to look at skill sets, look at people that are, from a security standpoint, that can probably script in Python, that they're comfortable with integrating different data sets, that they're comfortable with, not just working in a security stack, but being able to tie it together and building out a SIM, infrastructure. definitely working with cloud, not just one like Azure or AWS or GCP, but all three. They should be comfortable and being flexible enough to at least know and be comfortable with at least two of the major cloud players. This way, when companies are looking to go ahead and hire somebody, someone that has those skills, they're flexible. You can kind of move them around in a security team depending on what business needs the company is going to need. The question about certifications and degree, I have to admit, this is debated. This is debated quite a lot.
Yeah.
I typically, and the thing about it is, some of the best people I know, have a degree in English and then a master's in security or something. It's like you have people later on in their careers who come into cybersecurity. So it is what it is. You're going to have a mixture of different educations. Typically what I look for is I may go ahead and look at what degrees they have, because I'm curious just to see where they went to school and what they did. And from a certification standpoint, I don't look at, okay, they've done one cert or they've got 300 certs. What I'm looking for is the certs that they have, is there a reason? Is there a career progression? Like if I was to list all of my certs out, you would see some of the first ones I did were dealing with Cisco and dealing with network engineering, because I started on the IT side of the house. I was an engineer. I was an IT architect. I was building network operations centers, and then I got into audit. So I had I've got several auditing related certificates, and then I started getting into security. And so sometimes when I look at them, I'm looking for a flow. I'm looking for just the way that they've progressed. And I want to see that. I want to see a continuous progression that shows me that someone is looking at this field, is looking at our community as their career of choice, and they're invested, that they are, and that they've got a passion, and that they're moving forward. I also look for not just degrees and certs, I also look at community involvement. Are they doing CTFs? Are they going to DEF CONs? Are they volunteering for different security meetups? Are they involved, in the community? Are they writing articles? Have they published books? What I'm looking for, is just not, hey, you come in at 8 o'clock and you leave at 5. That's not cybersecurity. Cyber runs 24/7. We're on call at times. We get all kinds of projects and weird things that happen at different hours of the day and night. And what I'm looking for is, do you understand that? Are you flexible enough to understand that that's cybersecurity? And that this career field does not stand still, and the threats we face don't stand still. So have you been flexible enough in your career to where you're adding different types of education and different courses and different certs and everything as you've progressed? And that's what I look for. That kind of gives me an idea of you from a skill set, standpoint. And then when I actually talk to you, what I actually look for, by the time you sit at the table, if I'm actually interviewing you, I already take, from your resume, you've got the technical skills. What I'm looking for now is soft skills. What I'm looking for is, are you going to be a good fit for this team? Because my teams tend to be very close-knit families. And I'm not going to bring somebody in who's an ass, who's going to break that, who's going to go ahead and destroy, the camaraderie and everything, because we work close together. I'm looking for the fact that, can you admit you're wrong when you're wrong? Can you go ahead and, if you break something, if you screw something up, you're not going to lie to me. You're going to admit that you did it. And then we as a team are going to figure out how to fix it and move on about our business. Because I expect you to break things. This is cybersecurity. We break things all the time. So it's that. It's there's multiple pieces that I look for, when I sit down, and certs and education are part of it, but they're not the only thing.
Yeah, one important takeaway that I have taken from this is the involvement with the security communities when we are trying to hire an Infosec professional. He must be involved with the security communities, and I think that's a good point. And the most important question for an HR is how to retain a good cybersecurity professional. This is where they are facing a lot of problems.
Oh yeah, yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, it's interesting too because we've had this. I've had this discussion so many times
Yeah.
at RSA and at Black Hat, and just different talks, with people. And cybersecurity is interesting. I mean, professionals that I've had, people that I've had on my teams over the years, I pretty much know where most of them are at, and I mentor them and stay up with them even years later, and how they're doing, and kind of cheer them on, and I get really excited when I see one of them, get into a director position or get their first CISO position, because I really feel like, you're kind of leaving a legacy that you're helping people. And along the way, I mean, what you find is in cybersecurity, it isn't always about money.
Right.
I have a lot of times when I talk with HR, they're like, well, we'll just, we just know in this area it should be about this amount, and so we'll probably do, maybe plus 5 or 10%. We should be just fine. And I'm like, okay, but have you guys thought about this? And I kind of explained to them. I said, cybersecurity is not to me, I guess what I explain it is cybersecurity is a discipline.
Right.
And the way I look at cybersecurity, it's a discipline of skill sets and experience that covers a wide range of technologies and services and all those different things that you basically learn over time. And so I explained to HR, I said, hey, it's just not about money. Are you going to pay for training? Are you going to pay for them to go to conferences? Are you going to, I said, believe me, I've seen security professionals who will take 5 or 10% less than the average in our area because they get to go to Black Hat and do training, or they get to go ahead and go to Black Hat and DEF CON, and they get to go to a conference, or they get to go to AWS reInvent, and we also pay for them to do some of their AWS certs. They're willing to go ahead and take a little bit less because their education, they feel like they're being invested. We're investing in them, that we care about them. I've seen people willing to take a little bit less because the job itself is very mission focused. They feel like they're giving back to the community and that they're actually helping people, and the job is interesting, and they get to work with really interesting projects. And so they feel from a career standpoint, hey, I may be making a little bit less, but I'm actually progressing in my career. I'm actually adding things to my resume and stuff that'll actually help me be a better executive and a better manager, in the future. And so when I talk with HR, I say, hey, when we look at putting together a job description, when we look at putting together what we're going to go ahead and deal with this job, it shouldn't be just, here's a couple of skills that we expect you to have, and this is who you're going to report to. We need to make it, expand it more so they can actually see what teams they're going to be working with, what kind of projects they're going to be working on, and knowing that will also give you more insight as to what skill sets and experience you're expected to have. And I've always, in my job descriptions, I've always explained several soft skills that I make it a requirement that you should be able to, that you better have, and stuff like that. I mean, I try to make it to where it's just beyond just a basic job description. And it's one of the big things I try to explain is that if we're going to retain our teams, you need to invest in them. You need to be able to give them room for growth, but also understand they will leave. They're going to grow up and they're going to leave and move on to another position. And that's okay. Because what I'm saying? Because I mean, somebody may come in as a security engineer, and after they've been with you for a while, they've been with you for maybe say 3 years, 4 years. They're a security architect. They've done some certs. They've worked on a lot of projects. They've led some projects and gotten leadership experience. But that's all they're going to be for me is a security architect. I don't have any other room for them. I may be limited. I don't have enough growth for them. However, another position another company may have a management position for them, a deputy director position for them, and they're ready for that. And I've actually had people on my team tell me, I don't want to leave, but this is the offer that I'm being given. And I actually walked them through how to do the interview for that job and help them get that job, and even write
Wow.
the reference letter for that job, because they're ready for it. It's time for them to move.
Right.
Yeah,
Great.
and I honestly think from a leadership standpoint and from a maturity standpoint, as myself as a CISO, you've got to be able to, you're going to raise your teams, you're going to do the best you can, but you also are cognizant of the fact that, some of them will be ready to move. They will be ready to move on.
Right. That's great. And uh, one final question,
Uh-huh.
like as a CISO, what final tips and recommendations can you give to a HR person?
I think the biggest thing I give to them, and I've had to work with them on this when we rewrite job descriptions and stuff like that and put together questions,
Okay.
for interviews and everything, is having to explain to them that cybersecurity is not IT.
Right.
I said, there's a lot of basic concepts that are in cybersecurity, because it kind of comes from IT in some ways, but that it's not IT. It's IT. If you come in as a network engineer, or if you come in as a systems analyst, you're worried about daily operations. Providing,
Right.
is email up? Is the internet up? Is Slack up? Is Zoom up for meetings today? You're worried about operations today. You're
Right.
worried about IT services today for the enterprise, for the business. Cybersecurity, I'm more interested across the whole business. I'm interested in data. I'm interested in who's accessing the company, who's accessing data, what rights they have, where data is going. Is it protected? Is it encrypted? How do we get rid of it? I'm more interested in what technologies are connecting to my networks and who has permissions for what. It's all about risk, and it's about data, and it's about visibility across the enterprise, so that I can then help the various departments make decisions as to what we should protect, what we should clean up and fix, what we should monitor. It's a very different view of technology and services and procedures. And I've had people sit there and tell me that, well, you do things, well, you shouldn't be in IT. And I said, well, true. There's some people that don't want CISOs reporting to CIOs. And there's some that do. Like at SoftBank, I report to a CIO. I don't have a problem with that. The thing is that even as cybersecurity matures, and they become, and in an organization, they're their own department and they're doing whatever they're doing, the security teams will always work closely with the IT teams, whether you like it or not. Both technology stacks, what IT is using for daily operations, for email, for internet, for DNS, for proxies, whatever they're doing, and then what security is doing with their stuff. Both of them rely on each other. A lot of this stuff's intertwined. I mean, firewalls may be a security tool, but it's also managed by IT, by the network engineers. So sometimes you'll find technologies that both departments are going to be running together. Even though change management may be run by IT, IT and security tend to do it together, because of the risk. And so it's one of those things that I try to help HR understand, that when we're looking at jobs, it is very different than IT. So don't use pay scales that are based on IT. You really need to use ones that are based on security professionals, because it's different skill sets, it's different certificates, certifications, it's different education. There's different things that you look for. My job as a CISO, I'm talking with compliance, I'm talking with legal, I'm talking with risk, and I'm working in IT. And so because of that, and that breadth of interaction between the various business units and things that I have to do, and my team members do a lot of the same. They work with a lot of their counterparts in the various departments, and it's just required. We have to understand risk so we can make recommendations and help the business. When after they make decisions, we have to monitor it and remediate it, and put security controls in place. And you don't do that unless you understand the business, which means you got to get out into business and work with other departments. So it's very different skills. So that is one of the things I work with a lot with HR, is helping them understand that there is a difference, and then helping them lay out, the specific things that we need, for the technology and the security stacks that we're using, so they understand that, you're just not blanketly just hiring somebody. No, you're looking for people for specific skills because of the business technologies that we're currently using.
Right. Well, thank you a lot for your valuable insights, Gary. Hope to have you again on Peerless podcast. Thanks a lot. Thank you all for listening to this interesting discussion with Gary. Hope you all have a safe and secure week ahead. Bye-bye till the next podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.